Try to navigate this world through a sea of lies. Nothing ever as it seems. Open up your eyes, cause when your eyes are open, the clown show will appear, breaking all the wizard spells and nothing left to fear. So gather round and lend your ears as we expose the crock. We'll introduce you to a world filled with poppycock. Yeah, poppycock, poppycock. Welcome to the Poppycock Report. Poppycock, poppycock. Welcome to a world of critical thought.
This is Poppycock.
Poppycock! Hello, and welcome to the Poppycock Report. I'm your host, Rose, and I'm here with Wayne McCroy, and it is a pleasure to be here tonight to deliver a report on the Poppycock on Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone, because right now it looks like out there in the world, it's a complete clown show, and on top of that, it's such a clown show that it is scary. What do you think, Wayne? Is it such a clown show that it's scary and so appropriate for Halloween to discuss it?
Yeah, man. Evil clowns everywhere, man. That's the nature of the reality we're living in. We're in such deep clown world that it's just spectacularly ridiculous at this point. You can't look around. I'm so sick of political ads on TV, for one thing. Everywhere you look, it's not even TV, it's social media, it's everywhere. You cannot escape political ads. It's constant, one after another. And so many people are saying the same thing. They're so tired of the nonsense. It's become just completely retarded at this point. Let's be honest about it. And it's a freak show out there. So this is our Halloween spooktacular Poppycock report so that we can report on the nonsense that's out there running amok, hoping to make ClownWorld just a little bit more bearable for people here.
Well, I'm not trying to brag here, but I have been avoiding the political ads because I don't possess a television and I don't have cable. So there's no like cable coming into the house, which is so convenient. However, it leaves me in the dark about the freak show ClownWorld Poppycock. I know that Trump was on Joe Rogan. I know that Elon Musk likes Trump. I read such a shocking Facebook post that my mother wrote trying to encourage people to vote for Kamala, and that's pretty much everything I know. So where do you begin in educating me on the Poppycock and what you think is going to happen and what I need to know as someone who's been spared so far?
Well, the big one today is Trump was riding around in an actual garbage truck looking for votes. So, I mean, this is getting like way beyond political theater here. It's absolutely absurd on the face of all of it. And it's just as bad on the other side. I'm so sick of politics. And like Darren is saying in the chat here, the mailbox is full of political ads too. Like every day I get the mail and I have to throw away all this garbage. I don't appreciate these people sending me all this garbage. We generate enough garbage at my house. There's 7 of us here. I don't need to have them mailing me garbage. I mean, I don't even look at it. It just goes straight in the trash. So we have all this political nonsense and chicanery going on, and it's just tiresome already. Now, nobody's coming to save us as far as a politician goes. If you're putting your hopes in politics, well, you're betting on the wrong horse. Let's put it that way. It's all for show. It's all theater. It's all just showmanship at this point. And yes, Trump was on the Rogan show and he had all kinds of rallies and stuff like that. And Kamala Harris was making the rounds and stuff too. And I don't even think I just pronounced her name right. That's the other thing. This is a total construct of the media, this woman. She has nothing to run on. I mean, she's got no I don't know, no qualities of leadership to her, no record of any worth to run on, and they've turned her into their absolute darling overnight. She didn't even get the primary vote. I mean, that's the honest thing about all of it.
It's so weird. But is there any esoteric symbolism or revelation of the method related things associated with Trump in the garbage truck or any other things that you've been seeing on the screen lately?
Well, basically at this point, it's all in-your-face comedy because I guess Joe Biden had said something to the effect of Trump is garbage or something like that because some comedian speaking at Trump's rally made an inappropriate joke and said something like, oh, there's an island of garbage floating in the ocean right now. Yeah, it's called Puerto Rico. He said something like that at a Trump rally. And the media made a big joke and big deal out of all that. And Joe Biden came out and said Trump is garbage. So then he countered by riding around in a garbage truck with a big Trump 2024 logo on the side of it. So it's gone just way beyond like reasonable political campaigning at this point. It's over the top. I've never seen anything like it. And of course, they always say this is the most important election of our lifetime. That's every election that comes up. But
Yes.
beside the point.
They say that every single time, and it's so annoying. I just want to acknowledge, Darren, your comment means so much to me because everybody should be sorry about my mom. And this, I don't think people realize the severity. I mean, Darren realizes the severity enough to say the comment, but I think if I read it, because I took a screenshot, everybody is going to feel even more sorry about my mom. And
oh, is this going to be a cringe? Is this going to be cringe to listen to?
This is so, yeah, I don't want to be alone. I need everybody to mourn with me. Okay.
We're here to give you emotional support here, Rose, in this time of need.
I'm going to try and thank you, Sue Finelli. Thank you so much. I actually feel supported right now. And like, I'm going to get through this. We're going to get through this together right now. All right. This is from my mom on Facebook. I'm watching Trump spew more hate and lies. For the life of me, I can't understand how any Latino could ever vote for him. He hates Latinos and is open about it. I can't understand how any Black person could vote for Trump. He's the ultimate racist. I can't understand how Asians can vote for Trump. He blamed Asians for COVID. I can't fathom how any Jew...
I'm sorry. Maybe I should mute my mic while you're reading this.
I can't mute myself, though, so we're screwed either way. I can't fathom how any Jew can vote for this monster because he hates Jews and loves Hitler. I can't for the life of me understand how any woman can vote for this rapist, felon, woman hater, and someone that did everything to reverse our rights to do with our bodies as we want or need to. Husbands, brothers, boyfriends, and friends. Think about the women you love. And finally, I cannot understand how any human who has a moral and loving bone in their body could vote for someone who only thinks for himself and wants all the power he can muster. I've heard how worried people are about the price of eggs. He's not an economist. He only wants to help billionaires. Worry about the people you love. Worry about democracy. Please think long and hard. Your votes are private. Vote for Kamala and Waltz. These are caring humans who will be there to help all Americans. Please.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Rose. Where to begin?
There is some kind of moist, there's some water coming out of the sides of my eyes, and I don't know what emotion they're attached to.
This is what happens. Pay close attention here, people. This is what happens when you buy all the propaganda hook, line, and sinker, when the television set beats you over the head and indoctrinates you for hours and hours and hours and hours. This is what happens. Normally reasonable people become so convinced that this one person is so full of hate that they espouse all of these different ideas that were attributed to them by a media campaign. That's what this is. It's a media campaign. It's propaganda, and it's coming from these leftists who have no right to try to use the moral high ground against us. They don't have it. They do not have the high ground, the moral high ground. So I'm tired of hearing about it already. And this is the same thing they espouse. Here's the slippery slope that's behind all of it. One of the main issues that the left is running on is what they call reproductive rights. Now, if you look up the definition of reproductive rights, you'll find it's a very slippery slope. It's a very ambiguous term. And it's loosely ambiguous on purpose so that they could switch it up to mean whatever it is that they want. Reproductive rights and this whole thing they're running on here about bodily autonomy. Where were these people 4 years ago when they insisted that we all have to go out there and get an invasive medical procedure that we may or may not have wanted?
It's not
My body, my choice. Where were they then?
It's not about bodily autonomy. It's about stopping pregnancies. Let's just call it what it is. It's not reproductive rights.
Oh, so it's eugenics.
Stopping people from being pregnant, preventing people from having babies in order for, like you said, eugenics and depopulation. So if it was about bodily autonomy, then maybe they would have had something to say 4 years ago, but it's not about that. So that's why they didn't.
No, certainly it's not. And that's the whole point here. And you were asking about, is there some kind of esoteric tie to this? Is there something of that nature, something occult attached to it? Well, this is the big ticket right here, because that's part of the larger darkness that's going on at the highest, most echelons of power in this world. That's what they want to do. They want to depopulate. They want to run this eugenics program, and they're trying to go about it in ways that make it sound like it's something so vastly important for people. And they've made up all kinds of lies and propaganda to support this, and they've rebranded it and renamed it as reproductive rights. And it has nothing to do with bodily autonomy, as you pointed out, because if that were the case, then these same questions should have arose from these same people who are now trying to claim the moral high ground with this 4 years ago, when they were out here pushing for people to go through with an experimental medical treatment that was invasive and that people were uncomfortable with taking. So they did everything in their power to coerce and try to force people into this. Well, this is no different, in my view, than what they're trying to claim the high ground on now. They can't do it. Sorry. I'm not listening to somebody who will espouse this belief system based on this one facet of things rather than the other. And it's disingenuous, all of it. It's all a contrived propaganda campaign. And here's the bottom line with all of it. It's all based on fraud to begin with. Because simply what happened here with this whole Roe versus Wade thing is the Supreme Court. It was the Supreme Court that did this, not Trump. Okay? They gave the power back to the states to decide what to do with this whole topic. And this is probably the right move. And this is the move that people should have been excited about, especially on that side, because that puts more control of the issue back in the hands of the people when it puts it back closer to the governments and the areas that are closer to them. So they should have been excited about this, and instead they're appalled because there are people of the opposite political spectrum that have ideas about this, that have collected in certain areas, and they are opposed to the whole notion. So they have voted in that particular area or state to do certain things. If you don't like it, I mean, there are other states where there's like-minded people where you can go to. And see, that's the other thing. I mean, they'll argue all day long about the semantics of all of it, but certainly this was not something that should have even been a hot topic issue in this election cycle. But of course, they have to go back to some of their more important ideas that they seem to uphold. And it has to do with what essentially is, to these dark occultists at the top of the power structure in this world, it is one of their sacraments. And that's the uncomfortable truth behind all of it. People may not want to hear. Now, I understand all the arguments that have been laid down with this, but at the bottom line, it is an occult thing behind all of it. It's an occult ideology, and it goes back to the mystery schools of antiquity and to the sacrifice, of course, of children. And that is the uncomfortable truth at the core of the whole topic. That's why it is such a hot button issue and why it is supported by those people who want to have this right ensconced into the public lexicon here, or what they would call a right when it's really not. I mean, you can't claim the moral high ground on that topic. I'm sorry, as much as they would like to do so, and I understand each case is different, but the uncomfortable truth behind it is there's an occult tie to all of it, and that's the one people don't want to look at.
Absolutely not. And it's crazy that in this so-called civilized society, we don't put more of a priority on children as well. Now, this sets aside the whole abortion issue. That is extremely important. But then separate from that, there's the children that are successfully born into this world. And I just can't believe that in our quote unquote, high society, in all of this evolution of human behavior, that people haven't figured out how to take care of them. And instead, more and more, we're finding out that we're basically living in such an evil world, like you were describing, where it seems like what's actually happening is there are tons of children that are being harmed by the medical system or kidnapped, and terrible things are done to them. And it's just beyond comprehension. I can't believe this is happening. I feel bad for even bringing it up, but it's like we shouldn't ignore the fact that it's happening. We should try to, and even just complaining about it, I feel bad because by complaining about it, I'm not solving it. So I try to think about how we can be solution oriented. I guess the first step is raising awareness, but I'll let you jump in. Maybe you have something helpful to add.
Well, yeah, certainly we do need to raise awareness about all of this, and that is the first step, is admit there's a problem. And that's wherein, as a society and a culture, where we're finding the roadblock to all of this. Because here's the thing, the medical system will not admit that there is a problem, and most certainly there is. The medical establishment itself will not admit there's a problem. Those who claim to be the ones in positions of authority that set policy and make decisions, they will not admit that there's a problem when there is a massive problem and people are beginning to see it more so than ever before. And it all has to do with some of these other campaigns that we've spoken about here in the past. Things like, I don't know, say the whole COVID idea, that invasive medical treatment that we were speaking of earlier, that's come to the forefront of people's minds, but things have been going on in the past with this same type of technology of sorts that have caused irreparable harm to people that they don't want to admit to. And I'm trying to be careful and dance around the topic.
You need to be careful because remember, we're on your precious YouTube channel, which we want to maintain. Yes. Everyone knows what you're talking about. So
right. So if you're here and you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to say the actual words because I don't want to get flagged or something here, because I've spent a long time trying to build this YouTube channel, and I am already heavily censored and heavily shadow banned with this channel. And I think the numbers speak for themselves if you actually look at the logistics of my channel here. It's been up since 2017. I have less than 5,000 subscribers, which that should not be the case, because I know I've reached a lot more people than that. And it just find it very telling. So most of my work doesn't even go out on YouTube. And I do try to post to YouTube at least once a week, post something. And most of it doesn't get found by people who may be looking for me. So I don't understand. So I do have to be careful what I say on this platform, because I don't want to wind up losing it, because whether you like it or not, this is the largest platform and way of reaching people on the internet, this particular platform, YouTube. So it's a kind of a necessary evil if you want to reach more people and have that ability to stretch across and maybe get some new people to hear your stuff. You have to skate very carefully around it. And that's kind of what we're doing. But I have an awful lot that I could contribute to that conversation, because I do have children who have been affected by these things prior to this whole pandemic situation. And I've seen the horrors firsthand, and I know a thing or two about it. And I've been very outspoken about that. And maybe that's one of the reasons why they don't like me. And they do keep me at the bottom of the returns feed. But at any rate, we need to address the problem. And that's what hasn't gone on in the medical community.
Yeah, we need to take this opportunity to explain to everyone where they can find your work that's uncensored. Where can people go? Is it Substack? Is it Rockfin? Where else? There's your website everyone needs to know, alchemicaltechrevolution.com. What else?
Yeah, that's the best place to find everything. I have everything linked there at my website. Substack has been fantastic. I can't recommend it highly enough. So far, it seems to be the one platform left out there that, first of all, doesn't censor and has a big enough of a growing audience that they're going to be exposed to your information, and the algorithms actually push your stuff the way that they should, rather than if you talk about, say, something a little controversial, it pushes you to the bottom. It's more of an organic type of a platform. It's like the early days of YouTube on Substack right now, and it is growing exponentially every day. So I do like it there. So I do have the Alchemical Beacon newsletter over on Substack that also links to all of my podcast work and everything else. But the website's the best place to go as a centralized link for everything. That's www.alchemicaltechrevolution.com. And most people listening probably already know about that, but you never know. Maybe we're reaching some new people. I was hoping that's the case because YouTube seems to draw more eyes to it than other platforms. We've live streamed elsewhere before, Rose, and you don't get as many views as you do on YouTube. So it is essential to do this. And I think the Poppycock report is a perfect outlet for this, because we could talk about the nonsense, we could point out the nonsense, and we could also step up on our soapboxes and talk about some of this stuff. So it's good to do so. And we have all kinds of political shenanigans that I think we could take a look at here tonight as well.
So what should we look at? Like what aspects of the political shenanigans should we be looking at? And where should I go to find it?
Do you have the news maps available? Let's see what the people are talking about if you have the news maps available.
Okay.
Right now,
Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to bring it up right now, but I just wasn't sure if we would get the good Poppycock on news maps.
oh, it's all there. It's all good Poppycock at this point. It's all been going on for quite some time now. There we go. Walking pneumonia cases are rising among kids. Here we go. This is going right along with what we've been talking about, isn't it? Well, go figure, right? It's almost like we know what we're talking about or something.
And also, I'm reminded by other news stories that I've been following. Like I've been following the P. Diddy case, and I learned that his ex-wife, who passed away from pneumonia. And then there's other people that also passed away from pneumonia who were near him, like Brittany Murphy. And pneumonia is something that can happen to you as a side effect if you accidentally ingest too much baby oil. So as you can imagine, I've been too much listening to the P. Diddy stuff. And according to all of the YouTube videos that I've been watching about this, Ashton Kutcher and Jennifer Lopez and just so many, all these other people are going to go to jail as well. And it's just so interesting to me because I just look at it as all actors on a world stage playing their part. And I'm still surprised because as a child, like looking up to all these people, maybe in like the late 90s, these were the people who were their actions and behaviors were kind of like morphing my perception of what it meant to be like a successful adult. And so it's just so weird to me that now they're coming out as these delinquent, crazy, evil, criminal craziness. It's just it's mind blowing, and I just wonder if after all of this, like what would have been, how would our lives be different, and how would the world be different if these social engineering campaigns hadn't been so successful during the formative years of so many different generations? Now, I mean, could we say that maybe this has been going on for 40 to 50 years, that it's been really, really heavy-handed social engineering that wasn't accomplished in the early decades because they didn't have mass media?
Yeah, it's really interesting. And first of all, I just want to point out that that was a very slick way that you crossed over from pneumonia into the Diddy thing with the baby oil. But at any rate, it's always been this way. Like that's the whole thing. People are just beginning to see it now. These things have always going on behind the scenes, behind the veil in the past. But now all that stuff is coming to light. And now we're seeing them kind of cannibalize their own in this type of case. That's what's going on with Diddy. It's the same thing that happened to Epstein. You see, they pick their target and they'll throw their scapegoat under the bus so that the rest of them could walk free. They cannibalize themselves. Evil always destroys even itself. And that's an important thing that people need to understand, especially anybody who's maybe got close ties into this entertainment industry and maybe tempted by some of the offers made to them. This is the kind of thing that goes on behind the scenes. There's a price for fame and wealth, and they could call it in at any time that they want on you if you decide not to be agreeable to their terms. And they will eventually turn on themselves because evil always destroys even itself. And that is what is going on with the whole Diddy case here. But at any rate, we have this crossover here. This was just in the news maps here, just aligning with the things we were talking about previous. So now all of a sudden we have all of these cases of pneumonia rising among kids. Gee, I wonder why. Does it have to do with maybe some sudden campaign here in the fall to run out and get some certain medical treatment that they suggest that you get every single year over and over again? And now they've tied it together with this experimental gene therapy that they foisted upon the masses and renamed as part of this. And if you look at the story just underneath it, well, that says COVID-19 is no longer the world's leading infectious disease killer. Got news for you. It never was. But that's beside the point. But at any rate, we have all of these different ideas that seem to be tied together with that. And certainly we can cross the bounds of those news stories here based on the medical side if you want, or we could approach the political, because there's a bunch of political things up here that are shifting around on the news map in real time as we're watching. Which way you want to go? Is there anything there that catches your eye, Rose?
Go ahead and read some of them out loud, and then after you read a couple of headlines, we'll pick which one to focus on.
Okay, well, this is an interesting one under the medical side there. Was Stone Age Scandinavia struck by plague? There's more fear porn poppycock for you because they're talking about pneumonia rising, walking pneumonia. So this is a type of pneumonia where you don't even know you have pneumonia. you just have, like, a cold or something, and come to find out that you have pneumonia. Amazing, isn't it? How all this stuff always seems to work. What else have we got here? Let's see. Kamala Harris says Trump's comment on women is offensive to everybody. And I think maybe that's the story your mother read. So I don't know. Maybe that's where she got some of her ideas from.
What was the comment on? I guess maybe we should open that one up.
Open that one and see what exactly did Kamala Harris say about Trump's comment. What was the comment that was so offensive?
Yeah. What was Trump's comment that she didn't like? This, because I want to know what kinds of things my mom is seeing that's making her say these passionate things. It's like, oh, during no, haven't you noticed that nobody cares about anything anymore in this world unless it's election when they're being instructed to care?
Absolutely. That's part of the social engineering. That's a lot of the problem. I mean, we have complacency. So let's see. Kamala Harris said Thursday that Donald Trump's comment that he would protect women, whether they like it or not, shows that the Republican presidential nominee does not understand women's rights to make decisions about their own lives, including their own bodies. Okay, that's so offensive, isn't it? that Donald Trump said he would protect women whether they like it or not?
Oh my gosh, that's the
Are you
comment.
serious? That's the problem. That was the comment. So
No,
okay.
there's got to be something. No, that's you're right. Wait.
Let's read the rest of it here. She says, I think it's here. I think it's offensive to everybody, by the way, Harris said before she set out to spend the day campaigning in the western battleground states of Arizona and Nevada. She followed up those remarks at her rally in Phoenix. He simply does not respect the freedom of women or the intelligence of women to know what's in their own best interest and make decisions accordingly. But we trust women. Okay. Really, that's the whole thing. So that was what was so offensive, because Donald Trump said he would protect women whether they like it or not. Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess you could argue that if you don't want to be protected, you have the right to decline protection, but geez.
Unless it's never mind. I'm not going to even go there. We've beaten that dead horse enough. But I don't know. Unless you're talking about some type of an alleged medical protection that isn't really a medical protection. But they have no compunction with actually doing that, though. Letting a man tell them what to do with that, right?
Look how big this article is. Starbucks needs you to rein in highly customized drink orders. We have some cleanup to do.
Oh boy, that sounds like corporate greed to me. I don't want to have all these different ingredients on hand for the people that are very particular about their coffee, because that cuts into our profit margins. That's exactly what that sounds like. As somebody that spent a good portion of my adult life working in restaurant management and understanding the logistics and background of this, I've worked on both sides. Well, actually, all sides of the industry. I worked on the supply side, I worked on the management side, and the functional side of all of it, and the operational side. So I understand the complexity of this, and what they're actually admitting to here is they're taking a hit in their profit margins because they have to keep too much inventory on hand, and oftentimes that inventory expires or goes bad before they could use it up, and then it's lost money. So they actually build that into the price of their drinks to begin with, and it should not be a surprise to them that that's the way it is. And when you advertise as a type of a business where you customize the people's orders in this way, you should expect a little bit of that. You're going to have what they want, and that's just bad management, actually, in my view, that's going on. Because you should be able to predict with a bit of accuracy as to what ingredients you're going to need and how much of them you're going to need, to a pretty close proximity. And with all the tools we have today, that shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, we have the computer algorithms that could war game all that out for people. But certainly, that's what it is, in my view. It's just poor management.
Well, can't they just allow people to customize their order for an increased premium? They
already do that. And that's the whole point. They already do that. But let's read what this says. It says Starbucks menu changes aren't just affecting drinks. The coffee chain's food options are also due for a revamp. So let's see. In order to focus on quality over variety, Starbucks will cut some of its food items. I don't think we're going to be much better at food if we do fewer things on the food front in a better quality fashion. A spokesperson for Starbucks told Fortune in a statement that the coffee chain was cutting down its menu to align with its core identity as a coffee company. That's just wonderful, isn't it? So essentially, yeah, they want to cut down on ingredients that they have to have on hand. So they're streamlining. I could understand that to a certain degree, but when you're a company like Starbucks, I mean, this is a major corporation, that you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just hire better management to keep an eye on the inventory, and it'll be all good. We continue to offer customers great choice by focusing on fewer, better products. We expect this to improve throughput, quality, and consistency. Apart from the menu changes, Starbucks also bring back condiment bars filled with milk and sugar to its stores beginning next year. The condiment bars were largely eliminated from Starbucks locations following the COVID-19 scamdemic. And I remember all of that very well. They had to take all the stuff off of the counters. People can't be handling these same common areas like that. I mean, you can't pour a creamer into your own coffee. I mean, that would be terrible because then somebody else might accidentally touch a creamer that you touched or something like that. It's horrible to think of.
Horrible.
See how much this has affected the mindset of people and businesses, and these are some of the things that the runners of this whole scam that they played on us, they monetize this for people. Well, we'll give you these regulations you need to follow if you want to stay in business and stay solvent. You'll follow these guidelines. You'll take all that stuff away from the common areas where customers mingle to avoid this, or we'll shut you down. And that's exactly what in the world they were doing. But at any rate, looks like they're still raking in billions of dollars anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's probably like the whole company is probably a cover for some crazy occult ritual anyway.
Oh, there's a whole thing with the Starbucks logo, but we won't go there.
Yeah, like the Columbia symbol, right?
Oh, it goes way deeper than that. I mean, you're actually talking about an aspect of, well, look up the term abraxas. If anybody's interested in this, look up abraxas, and you'll find some of the deep occultic roots to Starbucks.
Well, it says here that abraxas is a word of mystic meaning in the system of the Gnostic Basilides.
Yes, it's actually a deity of sorts in the Gnostic text, and it has 4 legs, 2 serpents for its legs. It's abraxas. I've done an entire show on this on my podcast. So it's talking about this interpretation from the Gnostic perspective regarding abraxas. And this has to do with their version of what they say happened during Genesis chapter 6 in the Bible. So it's interesting to look at, and it's actually something that I could tie up another entire show on. But I don't think we want to go there for Poppycock Report tonight. But if people are particularly interested in this, they could actually look that up and find out a little bit more about this figure. But this is kind of one of the designs that went into the logo for the Starbucks logo, which is also, on the face of it, a stylized version of a mermaid as well. But you'll notice, if you look, it's got the 2 tails. The 2 tails behind it. It's not just one fish tail. There's 2. It splits in 2. And that has to do with this abraxas notion, this serpentine leg notion. So there's a lot to this, and this ties all the way back into the very beginnings of mankind itself, and it has to do with the stories of the Garden of Eden and everything else. There's all these different ties there, and it's all these different approaches taken by the different mystic belief systems to get there. So you can make some connections if you'd like with a lot of that, but this is the figure that is being, how should we say, given prominence in the Starbucks logo. And they don't make these logos the way they do by accident. So yeah, it's there for a reason. Let's put it that way. It's an archetype.
Well, look at this article here. They are saying that they found googly eyes on Mars. So yet again, they're telling us a story about something related to space, and they can't help but tell us that something looks like something else.
Googly eyes, huh? Let's see this. Do they have a picture of the googly eyes on Mars?
Let's
No, wait.
If you're shopping for a home, you could browse hundreds.
Ads.
through this ad for a second for just, oh no, they really want us to watch this for 20 seconds. That is just unacceptable.
That's crazy. If you're looking for a home, then perhaps you haven't been living in America recently.
Look at this.
If you can afford to buy one.
Here is a screenshot, and they're showing the moon Phobos transiting in front of the sun, and I think this is what they're saying looks like a googly eye. Very underwhelming.
It's a googly eye. It's googly eyes in space. They're looking at you. It's the all-seeing eye looking at you.
What a non-story, and it got a lot of attention.
Of course, because it's space nonsense. People love their space nonsense, don't they?
Let's see here. Not just ChatGPT anymore. Perplexity and Anthropic's Claude get desktop apps.
Oh, good. Just what we need. More AI chatbots to mess up the works here.
Yeah, let's take a look at this one. Maybe you can read this one.
All righty.
I want to know more about where we're going from ChatGPT, because I use ChatGPT. Sometimes I'll just have a random question and I will ask it the question. So it has roped me in. Let's see here. Tell me about the future.
There's a lot going on in the world of Mac apps for popular AI services. In the past week, Anthropic has released a desktop app for its popular Claude chatbot, and Perplexity launched a native app for its AI-driven search service. On top of that, OpenAI updated its ChatGPT Mac app with support for its flashy advanced voice feature. Okay, is that the whole story? Oh, there's more. Okay, like the ChatGPT app that debuted several weeks ago, the Perplexity app adds a keyboard shortcut that allows you to enter a query from anywhere on your desktop. You can use the app to ask follow-up questions and carry on a conversation about what it finds. It's free to download and use, but Perplexity offers subscriptions for major users. Perplexity's search emphasis meant it wasn't previously a direct competitor to OpenAI's ChatGPT, but OpenAI recently launched something else that just slipped off of the screen there. Okay, there it is. What else? They just recently launched SearchGPT, a search-focused variant of its popular product. SearchGPT is not yet supported in the desktop app, though. So let's see when ChatGPT, blah, 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 Windows. So these are just two new, same thing. It's just a competitor, and they're offering their services here. Well, these AI chatbots are becoming quite commonplace, and they're going to be a major problem here in the very near future. Already, schools are having some problems with kids using AI to pass tests. And not only that, teachers are using AI to grade kids' work. So it's all becoming fraudulent. It's all becoming farcical, really. So the education system is broken, like beyond repair at this point. When this is happening, it's been broken for a long time. But now it's going to be broken way beyond repair, because before too long, kids are going to be just using AI to do all of their work, and teachers are going to use AI to grade all the work. So it's just AI feeding itself over and over and over again. And this causes errors in the computation process of the AI. And this results in what the industry calls hallucinations in the AI. That's the term they have, where it starts to give incorrect information because it's a self-feeding and self-fulfilling type of a learning model that it has. So what it does is it creates nonsense stories or nonsense material that becomes repeated over and over again as if it's factual. And this is called hallucination. A hallucination in the terminology of the tech industry who's been working with this stuff. And they know it's a problem, and it's a rising and escalating problem. It's becoming so bad that AI is going to become almost useless in the very near future unless something's done about it. But the genie's already out of the bottle. And that's largely what's wrong here.
Yeah, I'm looking at this footage here from, I guess there was a big flood in Spain that I wasn't aware of. And it just seems like left and right, we're seeing so much disaster everywhere with the weather. And I'm wondering if it is connected to the cyclical activity of the sun. The sun has been so active recently, and it really does seem like the sun is affecting the weather here on Earth. Do you have any comments on the weather recently and your opinion on how much human influence there is?
I think there is some human influence to it. They are certainly running geoengineering programs all over the world, and they're being pretty open about it at this point. They can steer and direct the weather. Weather control technologies have existed for a very long time and have been used. But we do see some natural things occurring too, because the sun is at what's called solar maximum right now, and it does affect weather systems here on Earth. You see, these energetic principles that actually hit the Earth from space do have a very real effect here. Now, most people would call astrologers absolute nut jobs for suggesting that objects in space can affect energetic principles here on Earth. But this is just proof, absolute veritas, that that is the case, that some kind of an external body in space can have an influence here on the Earth. And we see that. And that's acknowledged even by mainstream science. But they'll tell you otherwise. They'll tell you otherwise when it comes to notions like philosophical ways of thinking, like the old astrology concepts. Well, astrology and astronomy were the same thing for a very long time before the modern edit took place here. And they tried to disconnect those two things. And that's why Crow has adopted the term sky clock, so that we could have parity of those two sciences once again, because they used to be one and the same, and they should be one and the same. And it's acknowledging that there are different types of energetic principles that do affect the Earth here below from the sky. And we see that. It's demonstrable. And the weather is just one aspect of this. So that's my take on all of that.
All right, well, let me go back here to news maps and let's see what else is here. It says defense calls first two witnesses after state rests case in Delphi murders trial. I'm not familiar with that murder trial. Do you know what that murder trial is?
Nope, I have no idea. I'm also not familiar with that one, but apparently the good people seem to be talking about it, because here it is in the news maps. Now, here, hold on. Here's one. J.D. Vance talks to Joe Rogan about trans issues, abortion, and testosterone. There's an interesting one right there.
Oh, let's see what the New York Times has to say about that. That's who wrote the article.
It won't be leftist leaning or anything, do you think?
Oh, highly doubt it. But isn't the New York Times, they give us a problem with...
Oh, I hate the New York Times. Screw you, New York Times. We don't want to read your stupid newspaper anyway. Let's find a different article, I guess.
Well, it would be funny if I could find the same story from a different website by typing out the title.
We could try that, I guess. I mean, it's a well-known thing. I guess Trump went on Joe Rogan, and J.D. Vance must have went on Joe Rogan as well to talk about some of these things and prop up that political campaign, I suppose. J.D. Vance, by the way, is the Bilderberg candidate. Just so people are aware, he attended Bilderberg in 2017 and was probably given the thumbs up by the good people at the Bilderberg meeting to run in some kind of a mainstream political office. And he is a first-term senator right now and had no political career prior to that. And then all of a sudden he's a senator, and now he's a vice presidential candidate pick. Very much echoing the same things that happened with Obama, except Obama got the presidency rather than the vice presidency. But if something should happen to Trump after being elected to office, then, well, they already have the Bilderberg candidate in place, don't they? And that's an unfortunate way to have to think, but that's how some of these people operate behind the scenes. So at any rate, I'm not a big fan of either of these candidates at any rate, but we're going to get the lesser of two evils, hopefully, if not the greater of two evils, no matter what that is. And I'm not one to say who's more evil or less evil, but I do know that my pocketbook does not like the things that have happened here the past 4 years. So certainly there's concerns with that. But let's see. J.D. Vance's understanding of abortion rights in this country is so off base that Joe Rogan had to correct him multiple times when he sat him down for an interview for his podcast. Oh, that's nice. Joe Rogan is correcting this guy. That's so nice of him. In a 3-hour interview released Thursday, Rogan pressed the Republican vice presidential nominee on abortion, mentioning state laws prohibiting abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy, citing Texas as an example, and noted that women in such cases who travel out of state for an abortion could be subject to prosecution. That's concerning to me if there's a place in the country where it's illegal to have a medical procedure and you live in a state where it's not legal, that your state can decide what you can and can't do with your body, which is essentially based on a religious idea, Rogan said. And I would say to Rogan, screw you, pal. Where were you when they were forcing people to go out and take this invasive medical experimental gene therapy 4 years ago? When were you out there talking about that? I don't recall that happening. I think you were one of the ones out there flapping your gums about people needed to go and do this, if I recall correctly. So Vance seemed unfamiliar with such laws. I don't like the idea, to be clear. I've not heard of this, maybe as like a possibility, not as something that actually exists in law, but I've not heard of somebody being arrested, and I don't like the idea of arresting people for moving about the country, Vance said. And I tend to think that many of these claims that are made about stuff like this myself are very much exaggerated or just made up out of whole cloth. I can't imagine any police officer in his right mind is going to arrest a woman who went out of state and got an abortion. Well, first of all, how are they going to find out about that? This is a law. It's an unenforceable law, and therefore the point is moot.
Of course. That's ridiculous. It just seems like a political move. Wait, I don't remember, though. Who is Vance again?
J.D. Vance. He's Donald Trump's vice presidential candidate.
Running okay. So he's being criticized in this article for not being aware of the details of abortion laws that
are irrelevant. Yeah, pretty much. Has nothing to do with any federal mandates or anything of that sort. It has nothing to do with any federal stance on abortion. There is none. See, this is the thing. This is what happened. The Supreme Court gave it back to the hands of the states to decide. And if Texas wanted to decide this, well, that's what Texas did. That's what the majority in Texas voted for. So therefore, this minority that's uncomfortable with that, if it's making them uncomfortable to the point where they feel like their rights are being violated, well, I think it would probably be in their best interest to move to a different state. Now, that's not always easy, I understand, but these people don't care about making things easy for you, do they? They've demonstrated that in no uncertain terms. So it's one of those things where the point is moot to begin with. So, and they take a lot of liberties with what their definitions are as far as what abortion is, what a legitimate medical procedure is, and with the various classifications of procedures, how they fall under such definitions. And they're very vague with their terminology. So all of these things need to be taken into consideration when looking at that. But I'll get off my soapbox about that because we've got more poppycock to cover, don't we?
Yeah, well, we don't know for a fact whether or not it's poppycock until we read the article, but I have a new popular article up, and it's really hard to pay attention to the article because there's that massive garden cup advertisement, so try not to be
I thought that was the article. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh boy, what kind of like new nutritious item are we going to be looking at here? But apparently it's nothing to do with that whatsoever, but that ad is massive. This is advertising done right, ladies and gentlemen, because now I'm hungry for strawberries.
Yeah, we got some strawberries, we got a salad, we got some pasta salad, we got some chicken salad, we got some shots. I mean, this is great. I recommend everyone go to Garden. No, just kidding. Actually, I've ordered from Garden Cup before, and it's not bad. And I really, really am so sorry to report this, but I stopped ordering it because there was a little piece of plastic in it once, and I just couldn't get over it because I thought to myself, what if this happens again and I chip a tooth? It's just not worth it. I'm so sorry, Garden Cup. You got to get your shit together.
Poor Garden Cup. They almost had an endorsement here from the Poppycock Report, but they
know
plastic in your food. Oh, those dirty dogs.
That was a little tiny piece of plastic, but maybe it's because they're just, working really hard. I don't know. But
what is this? Earth receives a laser communication sent from nearly 500 million kilometers away. Wow, that's pretty far. A laser communication. Who sent this? In a groundbreaking achievement, NASA has successfully transmitted a laser signal across an unprecedented distance of 310 million miles, marking a significant milestone in deep space communication. This technological leap promises to revolutionize the way space transmissions interact with Earth, paving the way for faster and more efficient data exchange and future interplanetary explorations. Okay, so this article is pure science fiction. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so educate me and teach me what I need to know in order to identify the poppycock in this article, because I know that NASA lies, okay? But I also know that they have to sometimes tell the truth. For example, your GPS tells you you're going to be somewhere in 5 minutes, you're going to definitely show up in 5 minutes, but that doesn't mean that we landed on the moon. So what's going on in this article? Where does the poppycock reside, and how do we decipher it?
Well, I'm assuming they probably like shot a laser signal out into space or something like that. And that's probably about all we could get out of it. Maybe they ran a computer simulation or some such thing that was able to show that they could do this. I don't know. It doesn't give you a lot of details here, but first of all, NASA are known and proven liars. And second of all, they make a lot of claims that are spurious at best. And once again, we're looking at garden cup selections here.
I wanted to know if you were going to bring that up.
Yes, I have to. I mean, that one is shaped like a strawberry. Yeah, there's more strawberries. How much space did pay for in this article? Like, this article is like secondary to the advertisement. This is advertising done right. I mean, Garden Cup has spent the money on the advertising. Maybe if they paid attention to quality control, they wouldn't get plastic in their stuff, and they would have less money to spend on advertising then, I guess. But
I feel so bad. I feel like I need to order them and give them another chance, and I'll just inspect every bite before I eat it. I feel so bad about it because it was really good and a little bit wasteful with the plastic that it comes in. But this is the problem. I keep scrolling down the article to go past our advertisement, and it's just more. They keep getting more advertisement. Look, there's even more right here.
Wow, that's a lot of Garden Cup. Now, essentially, I guess they're saying that laser communication would be more efficient than radio communication. That's all the gist I'm getting from skimming through this article. So here we have the amount of data they could send via radio signal compared to laser. And of course, lasers are a lot more practical as far as space technologies would go, I guess, because then you don't have to worry about certain aspects of it that you do otherwise. But of course, what they're not telling us is scalar wave technology is far superior to any laser technology that they are putting in the limelight here too. And that is all being developed behind the scenes in the special access programs of the military industrial complex. But you won't hear about that.
I found another article here in the science section about, and there's also Garden Cup. The Garden Cup is also sponsoring this other article, and it's the same
dinosaurs. Garden Cup is brilliant. They're sponsoring dinosaurs and space nonsense. Boy, they got all the ground covered, don't they?
Wait, a dinosaur egg? That's impossible. They must mean a dinosaur egg fossil.
Fossil record, this dinosaur egg found in China is the smallest ever discovered. In a groundbreaking discovery, paleontologists have unearthed have unearthed the smallest dinosaur egg ever found, revolutionizing our understanding of prehistoric life. The tiny fossil discovered in China has rewritten paleontology records and opened up new avenues for research into dinosaur reproduction and development. That's something we're all concerned with, right? Look at the little.
This is just a stock footage and not the actual photo, especially since there's a dinosaur in it.
Yeah, that's Jurassic Park nonsense going on right there. But at any rate, let's see the remarkable find. Oh, I like that animated horse. The remarkable find occurred in 2021 during a construction project on the outskirts of Ganzhou in China's Jingji province. Workers stumbled upon a cluster of 6 well-preserved eggs, unknowingly uncovering a paleontological treasure trove. This serendipitous discovery echoes the innovative spirit of exploration that continues to drive scientific breakthroughs. So they found some eggs. They found half a dozen eggs in China, and they're pretty well convinced that because they're old, they're dinosaur eggs, right? So working on a construction project. Boy, they work on a lot of construction projects in China, don't they?
Yeah, well, it's the only way to find these dinosaur fossils for this incredible article. But
It is.
you did such a great job saying Ganzhou and Jiangxi.
Yeah, but I can't pronounce paleontological then.
Paleontological. Okay, now we got it down. But do you know if that you were pronouncing them correctly, or were you just pronouncing them incorrectly with confidence?
I was pronouncing them incorrectly with confidence and hoping that that was the correct pronunciation. I think it's pretty close anyway.
I'm curious and I want to know how to pronounce them. So let's look it up because on the Poppycock report, we have to do some learning too.
Yeah.
So over here to say Google.
Jingji.
How to pronounce.
Well, I know how to pronounce the Chinese president's name because it's one of my favorite Chinese names to say because it's also one of my favorite cartoon sound effects. Xi Jinping!
Xi Jinping! Okay, let's do this word here.
So which word are we doing? Ganzhou? Ganzhou.
What? Wait, hold on. I couldn't really understand what he was saying, even though he's speaking in English. But what were you saying?
Oh, I was just trying to pronounce the word and hear how it was pronounced.
Well, I have this up, but it seems like he's talking too much and he's not pronouncing the word enough. Let me see here. Let me see if he's going to actually tell us how to pronounce it.
We are looking at how to pronounce the name of this prefecture-level city located in the south of the Jiangxi province in China.
The suspense is killing me. Go for it.
How do you go about pronouncing the name of this city? Guangzhou.
Ganzhou.
Almost
Ganzhou.
like ganja, but Ganzhou, right?
Yeah, Ganzhou instead of ganja. All right, cool. We all learned how to say that. So now we're going to do, what was the other one? Was it
I think he pronounced it in this one too. I think he pronounced it in this one because it's in the other one, Jingji or whatever it was.
Yeah, Jingzi pronunciation. Yangshi.
Yangshi. Oh, not as much fun as Ganju or Ganzhou or Ganja, but
I feel like this one's going to be harder.
Jiangxi.
Jiangxi.
Jiangxi, China.
Jiangxi. See, that's what I was curious. I want to say Jiangxi. The XI makes me want to say she, but it's she. So XI is she, Jiangxi.
Yeah, don't use the wrong pronouns to pronounce it, okay?
Yeah.
Jiangxi. Oh, no. And now I'm in trouble. Now one of the blue hairs is going to chase me for not calling them Inkjet Printer 8220 or something like that. You never know.
Did you take another language in high school?
I took 4 years of Spanish, and all I could say is I don't know. There's many trees in the library. So
Many trees in the library?
there are many trees in the library. Son los muchos árboles en la biblioteca. That's all I could retain from all of my years of Spanish. I could pick up little words here and there, but you know, I'm basically a dumb American and only speak English.
But you also need to learn how to ask where the library is. Donde está la biblioteca?
Yes, but it's important to know that there are many trees in the library first.
And I hope that you can also learn how you can also express yourself if you need nachos, right?
Yo quiero Taco Bell, right?
Yo quiero nachos or yo necesito. Mean,
maybe you're too young to remember that one, Rose. I just did the Yo quiero Taco Bell one.
No, I remember.
It was an old commercial back in the early 90s. It was a little Chihuahua dog that would come on the TV and say, Yo quiero Taco Bell. And Taco Bell. And you're probably too young to remember that.
No, I'm not too young. It was in my formative years. That's like what made me who I am.
Oh, okay.
I was born in 1985. So in 1992, I was 7. So can you imagine how much?
Wow, I feel old.
In my brain.
1992. Wow, I remember that year very well.
I also remember something that many young people might not know about, and that is the discontinued Choco Taco.
Oh, I love the Choco Taco.
Yeah,
that is one of the most fantastic inventions and culinary delights of that time period. But sadly, it's gone. They just got rid of it. They stopped making it. What was it, like a year or two ago or something like that?
But
the Choco Taco. It was a culinary delight.
Did your parents let you get the Choco Taco?
No, we didn't really get Choco Tacos much. I mean, in my adulthood, I ate the Choco Taco more than I did during my childhood, but it was a delicious treat for sure.
I see. Now, were there any delicious treats that you always wanted that your parents wouldn't let you get, that then when you were an adult, you're like, I can have this whenever I want. And then you went and got it a lot?
Not really. I mean, it's a stark realization when you become an adult. You don't have to necessarily have an occasion to eat a cake, but that's another story for another time.
Yeah, I know. We're past the hour mark, and we've discussed so much poppycock, but sometimes it's just nice to talk about random things. Sometimes we're in a rush to end our shows, but I just truly enjoy and appreciate your take on things in this crazy clown world. And it'll be interesting to look back on these shows in the future, like perhaps the next election. Let's remember to come back and look at the Trump Kamala, whatever you want, whichever syllable we're supposed to emphasize. We'll come back and we'll have a completely different outlook, being that we will have already experienced the future.
Yeah, man, and maybe the apocalypse will be complete by then. Who knows?
Oh my gosh, Jesus, forgive me for everything.
Yeah, I'm tired of living in the apocalypse here. I mean, it's getting a little tiresome at this point. I was expecting so many different things, but at any rate, we're watching the slow implosion of America happening, and we're watching the slow implosion of the world at large happening. So it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah, I know it's against us to try and predict when the end of the world is and the whole rapture thing, but everywhere I look, people are talking about how everything is unfolding the way that the Bible says. So whether or not you believe in the Bible as a literal thing, whoever's controlling, like the puppeteers, they are obviously aware of the story and doing things. And I don't know if sorry for my ice machine in the background, but before we end, let's remind the audience, because we haven't done the Poppycock Report that much on your YouTube channel, but we used to do the AI shows where we would go up to the AI and generate artwork.
Oh yeah.
There was a time, and this freaked me out so that I never ever want to generate AI artwork again, because it made me feel like there was like a demonic presence to it. But I asked the AI, the free AI service, web-based, please show me a picture of Bill Clinton shaking hands with George Bush. And what it showed me was an airplane that had it looked like it was painted in the style of the flag, an airplane that looked like the United States flag on it, on fire, flying in the sky, with a white horse floating above it.
You gotta love the apocalyptic AI. Yeah, we need to do another one of those shows, because from what I understand, from what everybody's saying, now these AI art generators have become a lot more sophisticated and a lot better at rendering images. Whereas when we were looking at it last, I mean, it still had a hard time rendering hands and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting. We might have to do a revisit and do another portion of that. I think we got some good laughs last time at that, because it also seemed to have a hard time with rendering people eating spaghetti.
Yeah. Maybe we should go back and re-upload that to your YouTube channel, because I don't think we were too naughty, and that was really fun and funny. And that's why the whole demonic, scary situation with them giving me that result is such a bummer, because there is the funny Hitler eating spaghetti with he can't figure out how to eat spaghetti with his hands. But then, like, when they show that white horse thing over the plane on fire, when I didn't even ask them for that, it gives me such a creepy vibe. But also, let's just say that there's nothing evil about it and there's just an algorithmic explanation for it. I would love to know what that algorithmic explanation for it is. Like, are they just assuming that I'm a conspiracy theorist, and then they're just like jumbling up all the ideas together that would be associated with George Bush and Bill Clinton?
Hard to say for sure. I'm sure they'll have some kind of a scientific explanation for that, but in my view, in my estimation, I do think there is some type of a spirit attached to AI, and it's not a spirit that's friendly to mankind. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I just looked at our Facebook messages, and I am, maybe it's because we're live right now that I'm fumbling and I can't find the picture because I know that we sent it back and forth to each other. So if anybody out there heard me describe this picture and you're so curious that you want to see it, feel free to email me. And if I get an email from someone, I'll take the time to scroll up and find it, because I feel like you have to see it to even believe it. It's so crazy.
Oh yeah, a lot of that stuff is way out there. But we should come back and we'll do another Poppycock I can't speak. Poppycock episode on AI art generators and see how they have advanced in the past year or so since we looked at it last. So that should be interesting. We'll have to do that. We'll plan that one soon.
All right. Well, I suppose we should wrap it up because we're both so busy and it's so late where you are. It's past your bedtime probably. So we'll close it out with our wonderful Halloween Poppycock video that you made. Thank you so much, Wayne. Is there anything else that you want to add before we end it?
Just stay sane out there. Remember, keep your heads up. I know it's ClownWorld, but you know, it is what it is. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. So high hopes. Let's put it that way.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful night. And thank you for tuning in to the Poppycock Report Halloween edition. And cheers.
We try to navigate this world through a sea of lies. Nothing ever as it seems. Open up your eyes, 'cause when your eyes are open, the clown show will appear.